Hi, it's Carolyn. I'm here to help you learn how to bake and decorate amazing cakes. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to decorate this cookies and cream cake. And I will also let you know how much I charged. So let's get started. I want to make the Oreo icing and I'm using my American buttercream as a base. Usually when I make my Oreo icing, I use a cream cheese icing, but I don't like to ice the outside of a cake with icing that has cream cheese in it. I just feel like it doesn't hold up as well. So I'm just estimating, this is going on a 3-layer 6-inch cake, so I'm estimating how much icing I'll need. I always use a little bit more, but I estimate about 5 cups of icing. That way I have enough to ice the cake and for some swirls. And now I have this Oreo dirt, and that is just Oreo cookies, the entire Oreo cookie with the cream, and I put it in a food processor and chop it up until it's a fine crumb. And then I just added about 3 spatulas full, so it was probably about like 3/4 of a cup. And sorry, I'm a little out of frame. I'm just scraping the sides and the bottom of the bowl, and you can see it's all incorporated in there. So now I crumb coated my cake, and it was in the refrigerator for about 4 hours before I'm adding this final coat. And I'm just putting a layer of this Oreo icing on the outside. I try to keep it about a ½ inch thick of icing, and I start by doing a layer around the bottom half, and then I do another layer around the top half. And I do have videos where I go into detail on how I ice smooth buttercream cakes, and I will link that below. But I'm making sure that icing is coming over the top edge, and I'm also filling in the top part of the cake. And then I'm dipping my bench scraper in a hot pot of water to warm it up, and then I wipe it off with a paper towel, hold it perfectly vertical, and then just take a few swipes around here, making sure that I'm holding the bench scraper straight so I can get straight edges on the sides of my cake. And I don't like to do that more than 2 or 3 times. And then I'm taking my Viva paper towel, and I will link this in the description. You want the Viva signature cloth. It does not have a print on it, and I'm just using my fingers and running them up and down on the paper towel to remove any marks that the bench scraper may have left in the icing. And then I like to take my fondant smoother and just run it on top of the paper towel, and just making sure that that icing is perfectly vertical and it's not sticking out too far at the top, so it's perfectly straight up and down. And then I want to dip my spatula back into that hot water, and I'm leveling off this top edge. So I'm trying to hold that spatula perfectly horizontal, and I'm aligning the back half with the line that I previously made and aligning the front half with the icing so I can scoop that off and have a nice even edge. And then I like to refine it one more time with the paper towel. So I'm just putting the paper towel on, and I'm really pressing that fondant smoother against the cake so I can get it to be symmetrical and round and straight on the sides. And then once that's done, I'm going to put that in the refrigerator for about 5 minutes so the icing can solidify. Then I took it back out, and usually I use butcher paper when I do this, but since that has the Oreo cookies in it, I'm just going to continue with the paper towel. It just makes it a little easier. And I'm just refining this one more time, really pressing that icing against the side of the cake, making sure that it's straight. And then I'm taking my spatula and I'm refining this edge. Do you see as I'm running the spatula over here, it is giving me a really sharp, crisp edge. That's just what I'm trying to do, making sure that it's even. And then I drop a little bit of hot water on the very top and wipe it around there just to smooth it all out, and making sure I smooth it from the sides into the center. And let's put that back in the refrigerator. Now I want to make the ganache. So I have these dark chocolate meltables. Why was that so hard to say? And I'm pouring half of the bag in that plastic bowl, and I'm going to microwave it for about a minute or so to melt it, mixing in between. And now I want to make this ganache. So these are candy melts. It's not real chocolate, so you can use water to do this. You don't have to use heavy cream. If you are using real chocolate, you must do this process with heavy cream. But with the candy melts, I'm adding a little bit of water at a time. That is room temperature water, and I'm just doing about a tablespoon or 2 at a time. And I'm just trying to thin it out. It will get thick. It will seize and get thick at first, but keep adding a little bit of water at a time and stirring to thin it out. I have a video where I go into complete detail on how I make this water ganache, and I will link that below. It's a little too thin right now, so I'm just going to set that aside. And I got my cake out of the refrigerator, and I have a wet paper towel, and I'm just cleaning the cake board. And now it looks like this is a better consistency. It's not super thin and it's not really thick, so it's going to be a nice drip down the side of the cake. So I'm pouring the entire bowl into that bag, fold in the corners, then fold down the top once and twice, and then clip it. And then I'm cutting just the tip off of that bag, and then I am squeezing these drips down here. So I'm holding it in one spot, squeezing a little, and then moving over and squeezing a little more. So I'm staying in one one spot for a long time to get a really long drip, and then I'm moving quickly to get shorter drips. So I don't want these drips to be uniform. I want them to kind of look haphazard, if you will. And I'm going around the entire cake, squeezing really long if I want it to be drip down to the bottom, and short if I just want it to go about halfway down the cake. And then I'm just bringing the chocolate in from the edge about an inch or so. I don't want to fill the entire top with chocolate. You can if you want to, but I just didn't feel like doing it with this one. And I'm putting that back in the refrigerator. Now my hands are clean, and I got that out of the refrigerator about 2 hours later. And now I have this bag with a piping tip number 1M, and I'm squeezing it halfway down and twisting it so I have better control of it. I'm holding it perfectly vertical, and then I'm squeezing it and turning it into a clockwise direction to get that swirl, and letting go of the pressure as I lift it up. And then I put a cookie in between the swirls, and then I have these little mini chocolate Chips Ahoy cookies, and I'm alternating those. So I put one down, and then I'm squeezing a swirl, and I ended up adding all the swirls first. So I'm not putting them directly against each other. I want to leave enough room for the cookies to go in between so I don't mess up the swirls when I place them in between, with the cookies in between them. So I'm alternating. So I'm doing an Oreo and then a little chocolate chip and an Oreo, and going all the way around to the back. And once I got to the back, there was a little extra space there. So I squeezed another swirl and then kind of just stuck a little chocolate chip cookie in there. You see how it distorts the swirls? That's why I tried to space them out. Now I got that topper on Amazon. I can find it and link it below, and I'm centering that in the top of the cake. And now I want to put some cookies around the bottom. So I'm getting a little bit of icing behind an Oreo and sticking that down. Don't put too much icing down because you don't want it to seep out. And then I held that other cookie in front, get a little bit of icing behind it, and stick it down. And that's what I like to do. I like to hold the cookies up first and see, will this fit here? I don't like that there. The drips are too long. Maybe I need to put a smaller cookie there instead. So I'm going to hold that up. I think that looks good there. Get some icing behind it and stick it down. So I like to hold the cookies up first and see if I like how it looks, and then put the cookies down with some icing. So I'm going to put that, I don't like that in the front, I'm going to put that on top. So let's get some icing behind it and stick that down. So I'm just trying to decorate the bottom of this cake and the cake board with these cookies. I don't like that full cookie there. I want to cut it in half. So I'm using a serrated knife, and I'm just sawing back and forth. I'm really not using pressure. I'm letting the blade cut the cookie so it doesn't distort it. You want to use a serrated knife for this. I'm just holding it up, seeing where I like it, getting some icing behind it, and putting it down. I kind of like how it looks with some half cookies mixed in with the whole cookies. And I added some of these half ones to the very top of the cake. Again, I'm sawing back and forth. I'm not really putting a lot of pressure because I don't want to crack the cookie when I'm cutting it. I got a little bit of piping gel underneath that one so you couldn't see the icing. And then I'm sticking those in the very middle on the top, which you couldn't really see. Sorry about that. And same thing with these chocolate chip ones. I just carefully cut them in half and stuck them to the cake. Any icing that's sticking out, I'm using a dry paintbrush to remove it so you can't see it. And here is the cake. How cool is that? It looks delicious. So there you go. How awesome is this cake? It looks so delicious, and it smells even better, and it was pretty simple to make. So this cake, you need to perfect the art of doing the water ganache if you are using a candy melt, like I said in the video. If you're using real chocolate, you want to use heavy cream. But again, like I said in the video, I have a tutorial where I go into detail on how I do that ganache, and that will be linked below. But doing a drip on your cake can be tricky because you need the ganache to be the correct consistency. The cake is cold out of the refrigerator, so it's going to solidify the drip quicker than a room temperature cake. So you need the chocolate to be not too runny that it's going to be too thin, but not too thick that it won't drip down the cake. And I know that sounds a little confusing, but that's the hardest part to learn about the ganache drip. And I also have a video showing you how I fix a bad drip on a cake, and I will link that below as well. Now this cake on the inside is a 3-layer, not torted 6-inch cake. And I have a video where I talk about when I tort and when I don't tort my cakes, and I will link that below. It feeds 16 to 20 people. And how much did I charge? This one was $240. So I think that's it. What new techniques did you learn in this video? I would love to know. Leave it in the comments below. And just a reminder, I have ebooks with all of my recipes. I have my signature scratch pound cake recipes, all of my best doctored cake mix recipes, all of the buttercream icing and filling recipes that I love, along with my favorite numbers and my favorite fonts. So they will all be linked below. And I also have a Cake Academy membership program where I can help you elevate your cakes to the next level. All of that information is in the description. Please like this video if you liked it, and if you're enjoying my tutorials, I would be so grateful if you could buy me a coffee. My link is down below. And I would love it if you would keep in touch on socials, and you can check out my website. And if you want to stick around, you can watch this video next, and hit subscribe and the bell if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and remember, it's cake, have fun. I will see you on the next one. Bye.